Why do you start social interactions with the belief that you need to prove yourself? You need to prove to others that you're smart, that you're funny, that you're charismatic. Why do you have something to prove? Why aren't you not good enough by default? When you approach interactions like this, you approach them from a place of insecurity. And truth be told, the reason you do this, the reason you have to prove them that you are worthy, that you are enough, is because you want them to validate you so that you can prove to yourself that you are good enough. It's all about believing it yourself. And because you don't believe it yourself by default, you seek it on the outside. The way you approach interactions is just like, I believe I'm horrible, I believe I'm such a loser, I hate myself. People on the outside, please tell me that that's not the case. And then when you talk to someone and they laugh at your joke, you're just like, really, I'm not a loser. Yeah. And then your belief comes back. And you keep believing that you're a loser. Because that validation from the outside is just a peak of dopamine, like a like on social media. Nothing more than that. It doesn't solve the cause, it only solves the facade, if you will. And some people get really good at this. That's why some people are very, very funny, and you probably know some people like this. Maybe you are like this yourself, where you just master the humor and you make everyone laugh around you, and your friends always enjoy your jokes, and you just get peaks and peaks and peaks of dopamine. But do you really feel good enough without that? Would you feel good enough if you were to interact with people, to be in a group conversation and not be allowed to say one word? And all of your communication would be pre-verbal communication. Like just facial expressions, body language, and all of these things. Would you be comfortable with that? Or do you always feel the bulging, the impulsive need to prove yourself, to say something, to be in the center of attention? Why do you need these approvals all the time? Why don't you give yourself the approvals? And then if you would be able to do this, you would start conversations with the belief that you are good enough. And then when people validate you, you won't be like, oh yes, that's a win. You would just be like, well, yeah, of course I'm good enough. Why wouldn't I be good enough? And that thought doesn't even cross your mind anymore, because you're obviously good enough. Why would you need approval and proof of this from the outside? No, you just know it intrinsically. But currently, there are some really, really good reasons that you believe are holding you back. You believe you are missing just a few pieces of the puzzle, and maybe a lot of pieces of the puzzle, that keep you from being good socially, from being charismatic and all of these nice social traits. Why? Why do you live with this belief? Who convinced you that you are not good enough? There is a person back in time, back in the younger days of yours, who convinced you of this lie. And from that point onwards, you kept religiously believing and obeying that lie. But have you ever questioned if maybe that's not true? And consciously you're thinking about it and you're like, well, yeah, I am good enough, I don't need validation, but then subconsciously you do need it, time and time again, every single time you engage in interactions, you do need it. But then there are some interactions where you actually don't need it. Those are the exceptions. And you probably have experienced a few of them. And in those situations, the people you were talking to were probably below you, weren't they? And that's why you didn't need a validation anymore. Because the social hierarchy you have in your mind manipulates you continuously. Because of this social hierarchy, you are usually not able to be at your best, but sometimes you don't need permission anymore, you don't need validation and appreciation. Sometimes you don't have to prove anything to anyone, because around those people that are below you, you can just be yourself, because you believe that you are already better than them. So, with this in mind, do you really want to feel good enough, or do you want to feel better than others? Why do you have this belief that being better than others is the only way that you'll be good enough? And is that true even? If you would be on the top of society, how would you act? Would you just be a jerk? Would you just be a merciless king that sacrifices people? These are some deep questions to audit because I don't really think this is the ideal life you want to be living. And you can take this mentality that you are the king. It's a very, very good approach to just try to grasp how it feels for you to have zero insecurities, to be completely secure in yourself. Because a king is, right? A king might be cruel as well, as we established, but we don't want that from you. We want you to feel how it is to be secure, how it feels to be secure. When you are secure, the need to prove yourself just goes away. You have nothing to prove to anyone because you already know you're good enough. And you are like that right here, right now. You just have to convince yourself of it. So take some time to spend in solitude and audit this for yourself and realize that you've just been guided by a lie for such a long time. And although you work on it, it keeps manipulating you and guiding you all the time. And if you need further assistance in this pursuit, I have a link in the description and you can book a coaching call with me and I will help you personally. I will do my best for you to reach this state.